So for a little over a year, there's a piece of gear that I've been using out on the trail that has been becoming one of my favorites. And that piece of gear is a flashlight. And a few months ago, this flashlight has received some updates. So in this video, I'm going to give you a comparison between the Rovyvon Aurora A5x 3rd generation and the newer Rovyvon A5 G4. Hey everyone, Knowledge here with Reach Your Summit. Thanks for joining me. So over the last several years, I've been using headlamps out on the trail on backpacking trips and through hikes. And a couple of years ago, I started using flashlights instead. And over the last year, I'd been using the Rovyvon Aurora A5x, and I found that I really enjoyed it quite a bit. So a few months ago, Rovyvon released an updated version of that flashlight. So in this video, I'm going to give you a comparison with the different settings, go over the different features that each one has, what exactly has been updated with the flashlight, and then I will close this video off with my final thoughts. So both of these flashlights are pretty close in price. I think I spent around $32 for this one, and this updated version I spent $26. It was a special that I noticed online, so I couldn't pass that up. The total weight on my scale for the Generation 3, right around 0.4 ounces, and this updated version is a little bit more robust, so there's a little bit of a weight increase. So the total weight on my scale is 0.6 ounces, and that's due to stainless steel accents and buttons that flashlight has now. So that's one update with this Generation 4 compared to the Generation 3. And both of these are USB rechargeable. Another update with the newer version is that it uses a USB-C charging cable, where the previous version uses a micro USB cable. Both flashlights come with their charging cables. They also both come with a clip, so if I wanted to, I can just take the little clip that comes with the flashlight and attach it and secure it to the brim of my hat and wear it like a headlamp. Most of the time I just take the flashlight though and I'll stick it behind my ear. I might put my hood of my fleece or my jacket around to secure it a little bit more when I'm around camp. I can also stick it under my hat if I wanted to have a little bit more of an angle. And since I don't hike with trekking poles in my hands when I'm out on the trail, I just have my flashlight in my hand. And that's one of the benefits of using a flashlight for me. I love that I can hold this lower and cast shadows on rocks and roots and things that I'm coming up to on the trail. I'm less likely to trip or fall or get hurt. Where when I'm wearing a headlamp, it kind of flattens all of the objects that I'm looking at. I get a different perception with a headlamp than I do with the flashlight. And the one that I get with the flashlight is what I find I've been preferring a lot more on the trail these days. Another update with the Generation 4 is that that clip now comes with a magnetic base to it. So if you're using this as an everyday carry item and you need to set it down somewhere, it'll secure to anything that is made out of metal. The clip that comes with the Generation 3 does not have that magnetic base to it. The updated version also has a really nice lockout mode. So I can achieve that by clicking the power button 5 times rapidly and it'll lock it out so it's not turning on inside of my pack or inside of my pocket while I'm hiking, which is where I carry my flashlight most of the time. And then to unlock it, I just push the power button rapidly 5 times again. So a really nice little feature with the updated version. Previous version does not have that. I think I read somewhere that it did, but anytime I try pushing the power button 5 times rapidly, it just goes to a different light mode, but it hasn't been a deal breaker for me. Another really nice feature with both of these flashlights is that they have different indicators to let me know what the current status is of the battery. So both will have a red light flashing when the battery life is very, very low and it needs to be recharged. And even when it is lit with the red light, I've still been able to get by with using the flashlight for an additional half hour to hour before it was completely done. But most of the time I will end up recharging it before that happens. And that's been something that I've really appreciated with these flashlights. When it is charging, the indicator light will be blue and it'll fade in and out. So it's letting me know that it's connected correctly and that it's recharging. And I can still use the flashlight when it's charging. I try to avoid that just because I don't like having the cable sticking out, but it is nice having that as an option if I absolutely needed it. And when these are fully charged, the indicator light will be green to let me know that it's charged 100%. Run times for each of these will vary depending on the brightness that I choose. They do have a bunch of different settings, so I will show you that first with the Generation 3. So to turn it on, I just push the power button twice and it will turn on. Hold the power button down and it powers off. So the Generation 3 has a 0.5 lumen setting, and I use this around camp. I find it to be plenty to see what I'm doing, to complete very small tasks. I'm not going to be hiking around with that light setting. It's just far too dim, but it's plenty for walking around camp. Then the next setting I think is around 25 lumens, and I actually find that to be plenty bright for hiking in dark, for non-technical trails and slightly technical. If anything is getting too technical and challenging, I'm going to want to have a light setting that's brighter, but I'm not really moving fast. I'm just hiking at a comfortable pace, and I find that brightness to work and be plenty for me for when it comes to that. Then the next setting is around 400 lumens, and the setting after that, the highest, is 650 lumens. Those last two, the medium and highest setting, are only going to last about a minute before it slowly starts to dim until it reaches 80 lumens. It was designed to do that to prevent the flashlight from overheating. Battery runtime for this flashlight in between those 4 settings is anywhere between about an hour, hour and a half to 72 hours. So what's nice about this flashlight is it has some side lights as well. If I tap the power button 3 times rapidly, it'll turn on the side for a low setting. Then there's a high setting, and then it has the red. So I can use this if I'm looking at maps at night, or if I don't want to be too distracting to other hikers that might be around me. This will also help preserve my night vision, and it's got a good amount of brightness to it, so I can look at my maps and still see around camp too. So I really like this feature. And then it also has a strobe feature for emergency purposes. These lantern settings have been great around camp. There's a little hook on this flashlight here for a key ring, but I've tied off my guy line for my tarps or my tents and just hung it from my shelter. So I had a little lantern hanging at camp. This is also nice because I can set it down when I do get into camp if it's really dark, and it illuminates the space where I'm setting up my shelter. So I found these side lights to be very beneficial too. The other thing that this flashlight has is a UV shell to it. So as you're using the flashlight, or if it has any direct contact with light from the outside, it It's going to charge the shell and it illuminates it in the dark. What's nice about having this glow in the dark is that it makes it easier to find when I'm at camp. I'm not fumbling around to look for my light in the middle of the night if I need it. So that's a feature that I've really enjoyed with this flashlight. Now the Generation 4 has a lot of the same features, but I find it to be a little bit brighter than the previous generation, even though the brightness with the lumens is going to be very similar. So I'll let you all determine that now with seeing the light settings with this flashlight. So to power it on, I just push the power button twice and it automatically goes to a brighter setting. To get off of that, I just push the power button once and it goes back down to the 0.5 lumens. Then from there, push the power button again and it goes to the 25 lumens, and then the 400 lumens and the 650 lumens. Hold it down to power it off, and same thing with this one, push it 3 times and I get the side lights, the low, the high, the red, and the strobe. This also has the glow-in-the-dark shell to it, so I'm really happy that that was kept. Battery runtime for this flashlight is going to be very similar, and both of these have a turbo mode, so if it's in the off setting, I just hold the power button down and it automatically goes to that bright 650 lumen setting. It's nice if you just need to shine it really quick. The older version has that too. Using a flashlight has become my main mode of lighting at night on my backpacking trips and on my thru hikes. It's not going to be for everyone. So in the description for this video, I'll put a link for another video that I put together a little while back going over my favorite headlamp, the Nitecore NU25, and a comparison of that headlamp with its upgraded version too, the NU25 UL. I'll still use those headlamps on certain trips, but most of the time I just prefer using a flashlight. What's nice about these is that they are half to almost 75% less weight than my headlamps. Both are about the size of a AAA battery. They're USB rechargeable, so I don't have to worry about wasting batteries, especially if I'm on a thru hike. I don't want to be burning out batteries constantly. It's just bad for the environment. It's a lot of waste. It's a lot of stress and fuss. So having something rechargeable like this just takes all of that out of the equation. And the biggest benefit I mentioned earlier is that I can cast all the shadows and elongate everything and get a better perspective and visual of it as I'm getting closer to it on the trail in the dark. And these have lasted me a really long time before I've needed to recharge them. So overall, which one do I prefer? I love the lighter weight of the Generation 3. I also like that the clip for attaching it to a brim doesn't have a magnet on it. But for the minor weight increase, I do like the updates to the Generation 4. I love the lockout mode. It's something that I'm really going to enjoy out on the trail. Not wondering if the flashlight accidentally got turned on inside of my pack or in my pocket. USB-C charging capability is also something that I've been really happy with. It takes about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes to fully charge this flashlight, where with the micro USB, it ended up being about an hour and a half. So the newer one saves me a little bit of time too. So there you have it, the Rovyvon Aurora Generation 3 and G4. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did and you liked it, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel because I'm always adding new content to it. And if you have any questions on either one of these flashlights or anything else in my other videos, feel free to leave them in a comment below, or you can contact me at reachyoursummit.net. Are you using flashlights out on the trail or headlamps? What do you prefer? Leave that in a comment below. I'd love to hear what you're all using out there on the trails. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I greatly appreciate it. And until the next one, see you on the trail.